Hello everyone, how's it going? My name is Stevie, and I will be on your screen in a second. Wait a minute, here we go. Give me that transition, motherfuckers. Transition me. Or is everything just crashed? Here we go. I thought things crashed there. I thought we'd lost everything. I thought the stream had totally went down there. I thought everything we'd done had been in vain. But no, everything's worked. Can you believe it? That is really, really cool. So, of course, before we get into this show, rigmarole, Twitch stream, let me introduce myself. My name is Stevie Smith. Steve Smith, Collie, aka Trash, aka Bobby Fett, aka Charles Rockman. I've also been known as Peacekeeper once. It was a long story. I mean, it was the early 2000s and I DJ'd. Bosnia was a thing when I used the name Peacekeeper. But that is a tangent. What are we here for today? We're here to talk about wrestling, as you can see there. Now, I have wanted to do some sort of... Let me sort this mic. I've wanted to do some sort of wrestling-based chat show for a long time, you know? I absolutely love wrestling. Like, it is hard for me to quantify or to say how much I love wrestling without people thinking I'm just being plastic and fake and stuff. But the fact is, I fucking love wrestling. Now, that's me already swore. I was going to try and not swear today. There we go, there's the sweet spot. I was going to try and not swear today, but clearly that's not worked. So yeah, I love wrestling. That is the key take from this intro. Now this is the first time, so of course this is a Twitch thing. This is me. This is self-produced, so I'm doing all the producing here as we're going along. So fingers crossed that everything works. Cold fingers. I live in Aberdeen, Scotland, by the way, if you didn't know that. Today, I mean, it is freezing. It is absolutely freezing. I'm wrapped up warm. And hopefully my lovely warm voice can melt the ice from wherever the hell it is. I don't know, you know what I mean? Who knows? So if there's any issues with the stream, let me know. If the background music's too loud, let me know, because it can easily be turned up and down. I have the power. Yeah, just let me know. Anything happens, and we'll bugger on through this. But yeah, today I'm wanting to talk about AEW wrestling, because it's a bloody good show. A little bit of background on my history with wrestling, and I'm going to try and stop making my camera move about because I'm wary. Okay. So when it comes to wrestling, I cannot remember years. I'm crap at remembering years and dates, but I have absolutely loved wrestling since I was a little tiny child. So without giving my age away or anything like that, I've watched... I mean, one of my first TV memories is professional wrestling, watching Big Daddy and Giant Haystacks on British TV. So that would have been the World of Sport stuff, the old like British catch style. And from seeing wrestling at that early age, it just blew my mind. I couldn't believe that, whoa, people fight like that on TV, and that was it. After that, we moved forward some years, because I remember when World of Sport used to be on every week. I'd watch it with my dad, or I'd watch it with my granda sometimes, or my grandma, because my grandma, rest in peace grandma, but she absolutely loved wrestling as well. She loved watching the British wrestling. Comically, she hated the American wrestling because she thought it was fake. She loved the British. Now, this was a common thought. This was a common trend back in... Well, a common British thing is a lot of people really loved the wrestling. Like, it was a really big within the working class sort of communities and stuff like that. Aberdeen, people loved the wrestling because it used to get filmed here quite a bit as well at the Beach Ballroom. So people loved wrestling, but then the American wrestling came in, and by God, she did not like that. She thought it was fake. She thought it was all... She just hated it. She hated the presentation of American wrestling. And like many other people, to this day, there's a lot of people that think this exact thing. They think that the World of Sport British wrestling was real. and that American wrestling was fake. But in reality, it's all as fake as each other. That's just the way it is. Different presentations. So, I digress. I moved on in life. I grew up a little bit more. And my next memory is seeing The Undertaker. Now, I was, again, quite small at the time. I was a little kid. And I was at my auntie's house. Now, my auntie stayed, at the time, I remember this vividly, she stayed on Jute Street in Aberdeen. It's quite a rough street, actually. And they had cable TV, which was mind-blowing at the time. It's like, cable TV, what the freaking hell's going on here? And they used to watch wrestling. They got cable TV and they discovered American wrestling. And, like, you would have thought they discovered Free Gold. They loved it. And that's, like, they were like, you've got to watch it. So obviously me and my little sister were around at my auntie's house, and they'd put the wrestling on American TV and would watch it with them. And I just remember seeing The Undertaker coming out, like, whoa, what the hell? And then from that I started watching American wrestling. Basically, I'd find videotapes at the video shop. I'd watch videos my mates had, and then it all just skyrocketed from there. It's like I've seen The Undertaker's debut. Then I like remember from that. I remember then going like back and seeing the SummerSlam where the Survivor Series where he debuted on tape, and then moving forward, and we are here today. We are here today to the point where Mr. Steve here is bloody wrestling fanatic of the day. That was crap words, but yeah, I am absolute wrestling fanatic. So I mean, in my life, like in the last year, there's been, well, much like everyone else, there's been nothing happening. The year before that, I was helping record and edit wrestling matches for a few shows, and years ago, I even tried to be a wrestler. So I trained for a good few years. So if you want to know how to do a suplex, just ask me. I can show you. If you want to know how to do wrestling moves, I can show you. But if you want to have a good match, then don't ask me, because I never really had that much match experience. Could do all the moves, never really had much of a match. The only real times I got to really get in the ring properly was in a managerial role as a manager, you know, like Bobby Heenan or Paul Heyman, which is something I always thought was quite cool. I always wanted to be a manager. Being a talker and means you're predisposed to being better at a manager. I can talk crap. I can talk crap for hours. I could just sit and waffle crap for days and days and days and days. That justifies how good the stream is and how bad the world of streaming is. Even though I wouldn't do that because I'm not a manager, and that would be a real dick thing to do. But I digress. So, hopefully, that little diatribe has given you all some information on my love of wrestling. And I just thought that because this is the first show, why not give this little history lesson about me and my background with wrestling. And now that that is done, let's get to the review. Now look at this, watch this. Do you want to see something cool? Can you believe that? Like production. We moved to another scene. So yeah, this is how it's going to go. Oh my god, I noticed that my frame is off. And see, I have like, I don't mean to have like OCD and stuff like that, but sometimes I do feel like I've got OCD. So let me just sort that a little bit. Watch it, not sort, watch me break it all. Like, oh, is that it done? Is that it done? Is that it? Oh, is that it done? That is, no, we're there. We're there. The image is done. The slideshow is done. No, it's not. I did actually try and do this beforehand, but I mean, this is the joys. This is what happens when you produce your own content. Things happen. That's. I'm leaving it. It's staying like that. That is the way it is for just now. If you're listening to this in the future, then hey, welcome to the first episode of a self-produced wrestling podcast. Self-produced wrestling video podcast. Yeah, so let's talk about AEW this week, because that is what I am here to do, and that is what we've got on screen. We have pictures on screen this week, the 6th of January. It was part one of New Year Smash. So obviously this was scheduled to be held over last week and this week, but the passing of Brody Lee moved it all forward. So today is the first part. This week was the first part. Next Wednesday is part 2. So this week's show was pretty damn stacked, if you ask me. Like, overall, in total, I loved the show. I thought it was a brilliant show. I thought it was one of the better episodes of AEW, like, in general, like, one of the best episodes they've probably produced thus far in their year and a short bit of existence. And, yeah, it was just fire from the start. It was really, really good. So let's go through it. Like, the first match on the card was the Young Bucks and SCU versus the Acclaim and TH2. So, there's this trend in AEW, and the Bucks are pushing this trend of the opening match being bloody amazing. And most of the time when this happens, it is amazing because the Bucks are in the match. So when you put the Bucks in the first match and on their team is SCU, you've basically got a four-man Buck team, and it is brilliant. Oh, pardon me. Let's hope that's not what we hope. Let's hope it's not. So yeah, the Acclaim came out. They're a relatively new team. They're teaming with Jack Evans and Angelico. I can never say that one. Now, TH2 is a team that I'm lukewarm on TH2, right? Angelico, I think his style's awesome. I think he's got such a unique submission style, and he's really, really athletic, which is awesome. Jack Evans, on the other hand, I go back and forth on whether I'm massively over, if he's over me, if I'm a big fan of him or not. I go, like, some weeks I'm like, man, he didn't seem like he was there, you know. Other weeks he's just absolute fire. This week was one of the weeks where he was just absolute fire. Teaming with TH2 was obviously the Acclaim. They're a really new team in AEW. So it's Max Caster and I forgot the other guy's name and I forgot to write it down, so don't care. All you need to know is that Max Caster has a gimmick where he's like John Cena. Or, you know, if you cast your mind back to 2005, who remembers John Cena? Thug Life with the rapping and everything, doing battle raps, putting everyone down before matches. That is Max Caster's gimmick. With the what is great about Max Caster's gimmick is that they are not shy about telling people his gimmick is old style John Cena. They literally call him the John Cena guy on AEW. Now, this has been making me laugh because it is referencing WWE and it is name dropping WWE trademarks, if so to speak, or like things that are really close to WWE's heart in a way that they can't do anything about, and it's done in total jest, and I love it. It's really good. It would be even better if John Cena maybe made a surprise appearance one day with the Acclaim, although I would say there's next to zero chance of that happening. I would say there's more chance of The Rock appearing on AEW than there is of Cena appearing on AEW. During the match, now this match was amazing. Like, what I'm going to do, I could have did a play-by-play breakdown of all these matches. I don't know if people want a play-by-play breakdown of all these matches. To people that want a play-by-play breakdown of all these matches, please temper what you want, because play-by-play breakdowns of matches are quite labour-intensive. And I'm trying to have an easy life, because an easy life means it's fun, and it means I can push fun through the camera, and we all have fun. So rather than looking at every single bump, every single move, every single lock, every single sell in the matches, I'm just going to tell you if they're bad or good, what sort of finish they were, and if I liked it. Now, this match was very, 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 very fucking good. As I said, if the Bucks are in the intro match, it is going to be good. They're just freaking next level. Like, it's unbelievable. I mean, there is a reason why Tony Khan built a wrestling promotion around that tag team. Think about it. They are bloody great. The match went on. During the match, Nick Jackson thought he broke his leg. Now, watching the match, I did think something was a bit weird, but mainly when we got to the finish, because the finish just seemed weird. It looked like they were setting up for a Meltzer driver. But then Nick did a senton out of the ring, and they were looking about a bit like, that wasn't supposed to be like that. Before Daniels saved the day by going up to the top rope, hitting the best moonsault ever. Although it was the best moonsault ever into the Meltzer driver, so it is what we call the best Meltzer ever, the BLM. Awesome move. It is freaking such a cool move to see. You know what I mean? Chris Daniels, I mean, he calls it the best moonsault ever, but he really does have one of the best moonsaults ever. Is it Kurt Angle's moonsault? No. No, I mean, it's not Kurt Angle. It's not Cody's got a really good moonsault as well. But goddamn, he has got a good moonsault. And when you tie that moonsault into a move like a Meltzer driver, it's just fucking gold. You know what I mean? How can you not like that? So as expected, the Bucks and SCU got the win in the first match. Following the match, we had a little bit of an angle. Now, SCU have got this thing going just now where if they lose, the next time they lose a match as a team, they're going to split up. Now, this is pretty much what happened with Ric Flair. This is the Ric Flair story where the next time you lose, you retire. So, I think the stories came from Chris. Like, you might not seem it by watching them wrestle, but Chris Daniels is, I believe he's 50. Kazarian, I think he's in his 40s as well. So they have been wrestling forever. Like this is why they're so bloody good. But it's obviously coming to the end. I don't know if Daniels is considering retiring, if he's just wanting to try moving to a backstage role or whatever, or if they maybe just want to go singles again. Who knows? Whatever the reason is, they have this stipulation where the next time SCU lose a match, they split up. There's no mention of the other guy. Oh my god, I've just blanked his name completely. So we'll move on. Where is he? There's a third member at SCU, but he's not there, and we don't seem to be mentioning him. He still seems to be tied up with this feud with Perfect 10. I forgot his name too. I need to write my names down. This is not good. I only have the names down of the stuff I need to talk about. So, moving right along. What happened next? Next up, we had a Jon Moxley promo. Now, this was good. It was quite short. It was to the point. Jon Moxley, we'll turn that back a minute. Spoilers. Jon Moxley is annoyed. As you would expect. He just got screwed out of the AEW World Champion by Kenny Omega. So this is the first time Moxley's been on TV since losing the belt, which I think is a really good touch. WWE and a lot of other wrestling companies have this thing where if someone loses a match or if someone does something, especially with losing, that they're back the next day cutting promos and they're trying to beat people up again. Would you do that in sport? You just lost the title. Would you really do that? I don't know. I never thought it felt real, you know? Wrestling's not real, but things have to feel real so you can lose yourself in it. This is how it all sucks you in, you know? So Moxley came out, he cut his promo. He wasn't bitching, he wasn't crying, he wasn't complaining. He's just like, look, this is wrestling. Sometimes it screws you over. Sometimes you get the shitty end of the stick. It happens, but I'm coming for you. So he's got his target set on Omega. He wants his title back. Now, thinking of it storyline-wise and like where the angle's going to go and who will be championship, where Moxley will end up, where Omega will end up, like, it is really hard to see the future with this story. Now, this is awesome because while wrestling is sometimes really good when you get what you think you wanted to get, you know? Let's say you're like, man, it feels like that guy should win the championship, and everyone's like, yeah, it's the time. Yeah, everyone, you just get a gut feeling that should happen, and what happens, everyone gets rewarded, everyone's paid off, and it goes down in history as a great moment. With this, I can't foresee where they're going with this. I can't see what's going to happen. I can't even think about what's going to happen with Moxley and Omega. Like, for instance, like the linear path here would be that Moxley is going to have a rematch with Omega. That's fair enough. Now, looking at how they're playing this just now, Moxley is going about with a barbed wire bat. I would imagine that the next match will be a no disqualification match. which plays into the angle, the ending of the first match where Kenny Omega said, look, it's a gentleman's agreement, we won't play dirty with each other, and then he went back on him. So there's going to be no trust going into that rematch whenever this rematch happens. I would imagine it happens at the next pay-per-view, whenever that is. But I can't tell. It's like, it would obviously be good to have Moxley winning the title back. That would be cool. That would be a good moment. The bad guy, Kenny, the heel, would lose the belt. The good guy would get over. But at the same time, that sort of resolution at the moment just feels way, way, way too early. It doesn't feel like it's... I mean, booking-wise, personally, I don't think it feels like the right time to even have Moxley going for his rematch. I feel like we could have a few months before we get to this rematch, and that's maybe what they're doing, because we've got to remember that AEW does not do a pay-per-view every month or every 2 months. They only have like maybe 4 or 5 pay-per-views / big events a year, and the rest of them they're going to be doing big events on TV like they did with the Winter Is Coming where Moxley lost the title. So I mean, it's interesting. It is really interesting. I mean, is Kenny... It's really interesting in so many levels, because we've got Kenny Omega. His character just now, he's like claiming that he's back to being the cleaner and he wants to be the belt collector. So I mean, what happens by the time that they reface? But how many other... Will Kenny have any other belts by then? Like at the moment he's got 2. He's got the AAA, one of the AAA titles, and he's got the AEW title. By that time, will he have the TNA title? Will he have anything else? So much questions, so many possibilities, and this is why the booking of this just now is like AEW's booking is head and shoulders above like the competition for this reason. With the competition, you can kind of see where they're going. You're like, right, they're clearly going with that person. They're putting the shine on that person. They're wanting to make that person big, whilst that other person's losing to jobbers on Raw. So you can kind of tell what's happening. But with this, no, you can't tell. You can't tell where they're going, and I love it. Moving along. Next up, we had another promo, as you may have seen when I accidentally had the image on screen a second ago. We had a promo with Chuck Taylor and Orange Cassidy, the best friends now. Well, basically just Chuck Taylor. Orange Cassidy's cool as shit. He just stands there and doesn't talk. So in this promo, we hear that Trent has suffered a torn pec. Now, he will be out for, I believe, 4 to 5 months. He's not going to require surgery or anything like that, so that's really, really cool. He's just torn a pec. He'll be off TV for a while. That's quite annoying, because Trent... Now, while Trent is in the Best Friends team, and he's not wrestling like at the top level, so to speak, Trent is one of my favourites in AEW. I personally think he's one of the top 3 workers in the company. Like, I could go on for a long time about Trent. I just think his style's awesome. I think his work rate is amazing, and the way he does stuff is just great. But back to the promo, instead of me just saying Trent is ace. Yeah, Miro and Cole enter the promo space. Miro is wearing an amazing tracksuit. Like, I need to find the shops where you get tracksuits like this, because it is next level stuff. The promo basically ends up with this stipulation. There's going to be a match soon. In that match, it is going to be Chucky T versus Miro. The loser of the match will become the other person's young boy. So this could be funny. This could be a good way. I can only see this as a win, because with the Best Friends down a best friend, they need something to do. They need to tread water for a while. Of course, Miro and Co, they're building to the wedding. That's coming soon. So, I mean, this could be perfect. This could be a perfect way to just keep them all nice and busy. You know what I mean? It gives them something to do. It'll keep them on TV within an angle until Trent comes back. And of course, now with this story, this is one of the angles in AEW which is a perfect example of an angle where it pretty much you can see where this is going from now. Trent's obviously gone for 4 or 5 months. He's out of the picture temporarily, right? You have Miro, the big bully. He's challenging Chucky T. He's like, look, we have a fight. If you lose, you'll become my young boy. It's like, okay, cool. So, Chuck, I would say Chuck's going to lose. It seems obvious that Chuck is going to lose. Chuck is going to become Miro's young boy, aka his little personal butler, carrying his bags and stuff like that. I don't know what Orange Cassidy's going to do. I mean, I would imagine he's just going to just walk about and not say nothing anyway. So that could be funny in itself. But I can see this going down the road of Chuck A.T. has to be Miro's young boy. He starts getting treated worse. He gets treated worse. He gets treated worse. And it gets treated to such a point where we're at a pay-per-view. We're at a big event. Miro's in the ring. He's berating Chuck. He's got a way to beat him up, and Trent's going to come back. He's going to save the day. He's going to beat Miro up, and it's going to be awesome. Now, it's kind of like what I was saying with that last match. You don't know what's going to happen with the Moxley, and that's awesome. But with this one, you kind of see where it's going to go, and it's going to be awesome. And that's like, what more would you like with wrestling booking? Right, so on that, I'm going to quickly have a very quick break, and I will be back in just a second. Okay, I'm sorry about that. If I didn't go there, I was going to burst. I've had too much coffee this morning, and I was ready to burst there. So, moving on with the review. Next up on the show, we had a horse battle. A good old horse battle. If there's one thing I like every so often, it is two giant guys beating the living piss out of one another. Because that, at its core, is wrestling. Big people beating the piss out of one another. Grotesque imagery. Grotesque behaviour. Humans acting grotesquely for our entertainment. And this wasn't grotesque, but it was two really big men beating the piss out of one another. How can you not like this? So yeah, this was a good match. There's nothing really much to talk about in this match. The start of it was a little bit clunky. We've got to remember, Wardlow he's not worked for that long. Hager, he's been in the business for maybe over 10 years, I would say. He's been in a long time. Of course, in the recent history, Hager's been focusing on MMA more than that, so who knows if he's doing a lot of wrestling at the moment. Who knows? Does it matter? I don't know. What matters is that they perform for us and they entertain us. The first few minutes of the match was a bit meh, but this match really did pick up. As Jim Ross would say, business picked up, and it turned into quite a good horse battle. Wardlow got the win in the end with the F10, which was kind of cool. I thought Hager was going to win this, but clearly AEW's booking team, or the people that do the booking, actually understand that if you want someone to seem like a threat, you need to have them winning matches. And that someone's always got to lose. Hager doesn't lose anything from losing a match like this. He's been about for ages. It's not like he's going for any titles or anything like that. He's just the muscle of the inner circle. And now they've got two muscle men, which is great. So my only feedback about that match was it was just too long. Just too long. It's a horse battle. People don't expect big guys to beat the piss out of each other for 10 minutes. That's excessive. It just needed 5 minutes. And this is my most common feedback with AEW is that matches just go too long. Now, it's not necessarily a bad thing all the time, but it's definitely not a good thing all the time. This problem with matches going long, we'll talk about that in a little bit, but it is most evident in the women's matches. Not because of any female badness or anything, because that's just nonsense. The simple fact is that when you get to the women's divisions, there's a lot less experience there. You know, the women haven't been wrestling as long as the men. There's not as much experienced women there as there is men. So matches can be a bit more clunky at times, but we're going to get to that. But yeah, it was a good match. I liked it. Hoss versus Wardlow. Hager versus Wardlow was good. I liked it. I've seen people say they didn't like it that much and it was boring. I thought it was alright. Just it could have been shorter. Following that, we went backstage. We had a very quick segment with Private Party. They had the biggest bottle of gin I have ever seen. It was like a big handle. You just don't get bottles of gin like that in the UK. I want a jug of gin like that. That was freaking cool. Not only that, right? Side tangent. I did not realise that in America, Tanqueray gin is 47% alcohol. Why don't we get that here? Why are we wasting our time with crappy 40%, you know? I want strong gin. It was my New Year's resolution to drink more gin. And by God, I need to drink strong gin. And I have just found out that there's gin that is almost isopropanol. I want it. I want to taste it. I want it down my throat. I want it in my belly. I want to taste that Tanqueray, yo. So yeah. In this backstage segment, gin and juice. Private Party were there. They had the gin. Snoop Dogg appeared. He had the juice, yo. Ho ho ho, Snoop Dogg. When it comes to musicians, Snoop Dogg is probably my favourite. Now, it might shock people to say that, but in my opinion, Doggy Style is one of the best rap albums ever made. Period. When it comes to rappers, you've got rap albums, you've got 36 Chambers, Wu-Tang Clan. Fucking iconic. Snoop Doggy Dogg, Doggy Style. Amazing. And Slaughterhouse by someone whose name I forgot, but I've look it up. It's called Slaughterhouse. It's from the early 90s. It is dope as shit. But I digress. I like Snoop Doggy Dogg. So they were like, yay, Snoop Dogg, we got the gin, we got the juice, y'all. And Matt Hardy comes in a suit. Now, Hardy's new character is a bit of a heel. He's pretty much turned into a bit of a bell end. He thinks the business has mistreated him and he wants to do something about it. Or that's how it started. Like, this new character he's got started with frustration that people thought he was shit or something like that. But now he seems to have turned into a manager. So obviously, Hardy comes into the scene and he's got contracts. And he's got contracts for Private Party. It seems that he's becoming Private Party's manager and he's going to get them bookings on TV for a 30% cut, of course. Why do they need I don't understand why they need a manager to book them on TV and get them TV appearances when blatantly they've managed to get themselves on TV without a manager. Do they need to give a manager 30%? No. I think they're getting ripped off. Thankfully, it is not a real sport and the contracts are not real. It's just a story. I'm like, nah. This angle, I feel it. Like, I think it's good that they've got Matt Hardy in the Private Party. I thought it was cool. I think it's cool that they're going down the route of Hardy being a bit of a dick. He's going heel. He's being the heel manager of Private Party. You've got that, is it a duopoly? Where you've got the good guy team Private Party with a bad guy manager. And the bad guy manager's trying to make them bad. Or is he? Is Hardy trying to make Private Party bad? Or is he just trying to make money and rip them off? Does he think they're naive? There's a lot of ways this story could go. I think it's going to go to such a point where Private Party end up decking Hardy and end up feuding with Hardy. Why, what, where would that end? I don't know. But it's something for them to do, and it gives Private Party the rub. And if, like, Private Party are you're really young. They're really new in the scene. So placing them with anyone of prominence like Hardy, whoever it is only going to be a good thing. And with Hardy as manager, I can see this rolling into feuding with someone else with another high-profile name, and then it all turns into Private Party versus the high-profile people. Private Party get the rub. Everyone's happy. That's kind of where I hope it would go. That's what I'd expect it to go. Let's hope it does. Next up, we had another talking segment. So that was what? 1, 2... Oh, no. We've had quite a lot of talking segments in a row. Twice in the show we had 2 talking segments match, 2 talking segments match. I don't know if this is the structure. Obviously, this is my first AEW review, so this is something we're probably going to start noticing. But the next segment we had was a wait-in. A wait-in for a match with no weight limits. A bit pointless, but it was fun. And most importantly, this was fun, right? First of all, we had Team Taz come out. The whole shebang, everyone, including Brian Cage, the monster himself, Brian Cage. You had Taz, Hook, Brian Cage. Why am I forgetting so much names today? I forgot his name now. What? This is terrible. I don't know. It's too early. Maybe I should record these at night when I'm not half asleep. Maybe that's what I need to do. But Team Taz came out, which was cool. And they enter the ring where we've got the big set of scales there. Wait, I forgot. We need to press buttons. Look at this. Look at that. Let's get back to here. So Wardlow hurt his throat. Fist bump at the end of the match. That was a good thing to see. A bit of unity from the inner circle. There we go. There's Hardy with the Snoop Dogg, gin and juice, yo. Now, one thing to take from this is why we've got images here, by the way, is that Snoop Dogg is a freaking giant. The guy's like, what, 6'3", 6'4"? He towers above Private Party. He towers above Matt Hardy. He is one tall motherfucker. So there we go. There's Brian Cage. What a size this guy. What a specimen this guy is. Now, we've got a lot of horses in the world of wrestling. Now, there's a lot of big muscle guys gassed up to the gills that'll beat the piss out of anything. But most of them are kind of slow. They're kind of ground-based. They just hit, slam. Not Brian Cage. Brian Cage is a specimen. He will do moonsaults. He will do everything. He works like... Now, we find out in the weigh-in that he is actually 270 pounds in weight. Brian Cage, that man, 270 pounds of pure, unadulterated muscle. It is absolutely insane how big he is. And it is even more crazy that he can do things like moonsaults. That he'll be in a match and he'll just bust, it's like, oh yeah, I'm 270 pounds. I'll just bust out a standing moonsault. What? It is ridiculous that someone that size can be so nimble and athletic. Nimble. That's a word I've not used enough lately. Nimble. So yeah, he got in the ring. And the weigh-in was for the match that we have next week for the TNT title, which is Darby Allin's first defense of the TNT title, which he won from Cody Rhodes at Winter is Coming. So, for the weigh-in, first on the scales was Brian Cage, as we can see in the picture. Shivani got him up on the scales. We find out that he is 270 pounds of raw muscle, as we already discussed. Darby Allin then got on the scales, and we found out, well, spoilers, we found out that Darby Allin is only 170 pounds with his clothes and everything on. So, we have a weight difference of at least 100 pounds in this match. Now, if this was in any other sport, this match would not be happening, because that sort of weight differential is insane. And if it was a real sport, Darby Allin what would happen in a real fight? It would end up like that scene in, is it the first Avengers film, where the Incredible Hulk grabs Loki, like, and just starts smashing him everywhere. Brian Cage could do that to Darby Allin if he wanted. I absolutely believe he could do that. Fun little factoid. A few weeks ago, Kenny Omega, you might have seen Kenny Omega defending the AAA title on AAA's, I think it's Triple Mania, the show was called. That was a few weeks ago from Mexico. Awesome match. If you've not seen it, go and see it. Really good event. But the reason I bring up that event is because in that event there was an actual a licensed Marvel superhero match. Thanos was in that match. Brian Cage is the person who played Thanos. Does that surprise you? Because it did not surprise me. If there was anyone in real life that was going to be anything like Thanos, it is Brian Cage. The fucking size of him. So as you would expect, things broke down a little bit. They didn't start fighting. It looked like they were ready to start fighting, but then everything goes dark. The blizzards come now. Sting came to back up his boy Darby Allin. This has been happening every week since Sting debuted. He just kind of comes out and stands beside Darby Allin. I agree with the reviewers that have said that they want to see more from Sting. I think this story needs to progress, but I think we're comfortable with the fact that Sting likes Darby Allin. Sting thinks he's like Darby Allin. Sting thinks Darby Allin is his kin and will try and protect him for whatever reason. Is he his manager? Is he wanting to just give him the rub? We don't know yet. It's been 5 weeks. I think we need to start finding out where we're going with Sting. But that said, I love the presentation of Sting in AEW. Like that, the way they turn the lights off and they put snow machines on. Like, I have never seen anyone use snow machines in this sort of context, but it just works so freaking well. And I mean, if you can think forward to summertime, you know, because obviously they filmed this in Florida. It's cold. I never even realized Florida had like a winter where it got under 10 degrees centigrade. But when you think about Florida in the summer when it gets really hot, can you wait until you can see this entrance in that sort of weather? It's just going to be mind-blowingly cool because everything's just going to go dark and start snowing in the sun. But yeah, I just love it. I love it. There's a weird mystic feel when he comes out, and I think that I think they nailed it. Like, I really, really do think they nailed the presentation of Sting in AEW. For now, we just need to see where they're going to take it now. Following that, we went backstage. We had a little quick backstage vignette with MJF. So to start, the scene starts with Hager. He's angry. Obviously, he lost his match with Wardlow. He's pissed off, and he is a fighter. He likes winning matches. Hager was punching doors. He was raging. MJF comes through, and he just has a total bro moment with him. He's like, "Look, bro, you're good. You're Jake Hager. You're awesome. You shouldn't be angry." Blah, blah, blah. Hager's like, "You know what? When you came into this room, I was going to deck you, but now I think you're cool. But fuck off and leave me alone, please." Which he did. Which I like the way it kind of ended, but it was a nice moment. What we're seeing here is MJF. I mean, is he trying to take over the Inner Circle? Is he trying to become the leader of the Inner Circle? Is this why he's trying to be so friendly with everyone else in the Inner Circle? So he can maybe usurp Chris Jericho and get Chris Jericho out of the picture? Because we've got to remember, Chris Jericho is the leader of the Inner Circle, but MJF kind of wiggled his way into the Inner Circle by beating Chris Jericho. What's his plans? What does MJF want from the Inner Circle? Is it domination? Is he trying to take the Inner Circle over? We don't know yet. It's kind of strange just now. MJF is in this sort of area just now where he's almost like a good guy, you know what I mean? He's kind of acting like a face just now. Like what he did, like, we seen this last week as well. Now, outside of wrestling, Santana and Ortiz, Inner Circle member, he's had a really tough time with it personally. He's had like relatives die and stuff like that, as has MJF. I mean, 2020 is 2020, as have all of us. I have, everyone else has. And last week we seen MJF speaking to Santana. He's like, "Look, bro, I've been there. Be cool." And they had a nice moment and stuff like that. And this week we see the same thing again. Now, are we going to start seeing one of these moments with everyone? Are we going to see everyone in the Inner Circle put in a situation where they're made upset? and MJF is the one to, talk them round and be cool with him. It's interesting. I like it. Again, it is really quite good long-term storyline. They're setting the seeds for a long-term story. Unlike WWE, who would just screw something like this over and forget about in a week, we know that this is important. Like what we're seeing here, this will lead to something. This is crucial to the ongoing stories. It's small facts. It's all you need. It's all you need. Just keep it small, logical, and interesting. Next up. So this was like the third last match of the night. We had Matt Sydal versus Cody Rhodes with Snoop Doggy Dogg in his corner. Snoop Dogg was basically Cody Rhodes' manager, which was cool. Matt Sydal, it was a good match. Sydal's cool. I really like Sydal. I think he's a really good wrestler. I think he was really, really unlucky for the debut he had in AEW. I don't think you could have a worse entrance into a wrestling promotion if you tried, the poor bugger. For those that didn't see it, at the last pay-per-view, Matt Sydal was he was like the surprise entrance at the end of the Battle Royal / Royal Rumble sort of match. He run in, he made his entrance, he went straight to do a shooting star press and botched it. So I was like, oh. He was lucky that, thankfully, Matt Sydal is that damned good at what he does. He did not land on his head Brock Lesnar style and hurt himself. He managed to at least protect himself when he botched the shooting star press, when he slipped on the top ropes. But he's cool. I think he's in a bit of a slow time building up in AEW, which I don't know if it's deliberate. I don't know if it's just the way it is, but it's working. At the moment, he seems to be playing... He's definitely not playing a heel or anything like that. He seems to be playing, not even really a tweener. He is a face, but he's just there, you know what I mean? He's just a man. We've got to remember in wrestling needs two people. You're always going to need at least two people in a wrestling match, and someone's got to lose. Sadly, for Sydal in AEW, he seems to be falling into, on AEW Dynamite anyway, not so much on Dark where he's probably winning matches, but on Dynamite, he's fallen into this situation where he's a bit of a body, you know what I mean? He's a bit of a mechanic. He's there to help people have good matches and to give them a good win, give them a push, move on, next case. This week, it was with Cody Rhodes. Now, as I said, Cody's manager was Snoop Dogg. It was great. For those that watch AEW, you'll know that Cody Rhodes' usual manager is Arn Anderson. And when Arn comes out, he always has the little card. I'm trying to see if I've got a picture of Snoop of the card, which for some reason I've managed to not get one. But yeah, every week, you see it in his hand just a little bit there. Every week, Arn Anderson comes out and he's got the big plastic laminated card with all his tips, and he's like covering his face. He covers his mouth so he can give Cody advice and people can't see his mouth moving. Little management sort of coach things that Arn Anderson's seen in other sports and taken into wrestling, which again, I really like. It makes it seem more real. In this match, Snoop Dogg was playing the part of Arn Anderson. He did a great job. Snoop Dogg could literally just stand on TV going like that. And it'd get a lot of, I would say it would get a lot of views. Unless there's a ongoing coup of the United States on the other channels, which we'll get to later on. So I thought it was a really good match. I really enjoyed this one. I mean, I think if you wanted to look for bad things in this match, the finish was a bit, but it was a bit of a finish, but they didn't want to beat anyone, so I'm cool with that. Match-wise, quality-wise, it was a awesome match. I think they went for like a springboard, like a lucha style springboard arm drag spot. I don't know what they were supposed to do in it or where they thought they were going to go, but it kind of fell apart. Thankfully, as we've said before, these guys are pros, so they managed to save it. And unless you are someone that was trained in wrestling and you can tell like something didn't work there, you would never have noticed there was a problem. A good match. The finish for this match came via Serpentico and Luther, believe it or not. So during the match, went to the outside. Let's see if I've got a picture of this. No, we don't. We don't have a picture. Yeah, basically the match went to the outside halfway through, and Cody accidentally punched Serpentico. Like, as we know with AEW, the crowd that are sitting around the ring, it's all wrestlers. It's like all mainly the wrestlers that are on dark and the lower card wrestlers. And Cody Rhodes accidentally punched Serpentico in the head, which clearly annoyed Serpentico and his tag team partner Luther. So the end for this match came when Serpentico and Luther jumped into the ring and started beating up Cody Rhodes. So Cody won by disqualification, or I would say it's a no contest. No one won or lost this one because no one came in to help Seidel. They came in just to hurt Cody Rhodes. The beatdown ensued, as they say. Eventually, Seidel got back to his feet, started helping Cody Rhodes get back to his feet, beat up Serpentico. They slammed Serpentico. As you can see on the screen, Seidel was about to go to the shooting star. He's like, right, there we go. I'm going to nail this motherfucker. Starts climbing the ropes, and Snoop just goes to him. He's like, oh, wait, we're going back there. He goes to climb the ropes. Snoop just like, son, no. He's like, no. I got this one, though. What the hell was that? He's like, I got this one. I'm just making... That was me doing a Snoop Dogg impression. Doe. Has Snoop Dogg ever said the word doe? I don't think so. As you can see in Seidel's face there, he thought this was awesome. Snoop climbed to the ropes. He's like, yeah, climbed up that ropes. Now, that hoodie is amazing. I want a doggy style hoodie. That's cool. Snoop climbed the ropes. He climbed some more. He's like, yeah, I got this. This is Snoop's moment. I don't know if WWE ever let him do anything like that, but AEW clearly did. Snoop took to the sky. He took to the sky and hit a splash. Now, the way he landed this splash was actually hilarious. Like, I have not put a picture of the bit. I should have, because it's actually pretty funny. As you can see by this picture here, Snoop's ass is about 3 foot in the air higher than his head is there. And the way he come down, he didn't like flat. He came down horizontal, like vertically, and then kind of leant over and formed like a triangle shape with his ass sticking up in the air, and he got the pin. It was cool. It was great. It's everything you need from Snoop Doggy Dogg. Of course, Snoop Doggy Dogg was on AEW this week because the day after there's a new show launching in America called the Go Big Show. It's some sort of extreme talent show which Cody Rhodes is also a host/judge on. That's why Snoop was on. It was great. The Dog Father. It's Snoop. Like, do we need to say any more? Snoop fucking D-O double jizzle. Awesome. More Snoop, please. Now, the only fun thing, like, talking about Snoop quickly, we've got to remember that Snoop Dogg is actually a member of the WWE Hall of Fame. And he's also, I believe, is Sasha Banks' cousin or uncle. So it's going to be interesting to see how the WWE take one of their Hall of Fame members not only appearing on AEW, but doing a move off the top rope. I don't think WWE ever let him get physical. The last time I remember WWE letting someone get physical with a famous person was when Jason Wong was on WWE Raw, and John Cena ended up throwing him out the ring, and the guy landed on his head. I'm sure he broke his collarbone or something. Maybe he didn't break any bones, but my God, like, he got waffled. And since then, I don't know if WWE wanted famous people getting involved with violence, because famous people don't like getting hurt, especially if they work on TV. So it stops them working on TV. Not Snoop, though. Snoop was like, hey, I want to do a slam. And he done a slam. Well, he done a jump. Whatever it was, I loved it. I thought it was great. Brilliant little segment. Like I said, I enjoyed this week's show. I thought it was a really good show. Next up on the show, between Snoop Doggy Dogg and the end of the Cody match in this match, there was a small promo with Jurassic Express and FTR. Next week we're going to see Jurassic Express, but I am forgetting words so badly this morning. It's going to be FTR versus Jurassic Express next week, but instead of Luchasaurus, it is going to be Marco Stunt. So it's going to be Marco Stunt and Jungle Boy versus FTR. It should be a good match. I mean, no, I'm going to say it's going to be a good match. I mean, you can bet, you know, that Marco Stunt is going to be taking the heat. He's going to get the shit beaten out of him for most of this match. But does that mean to say that the FTR is going to win? No, it doesn't. They probably will, but they might not. We might get Jungle Boy winning the match on his own, which again would be awesome and would feed into the build they need to keep putting into Jungle Boy, because if they don't keep building, then it doesn't keep going. Simple as that. Next up, second last match of the evening, Shida versus Abaddon. Now, they've been building this match for quite a few weeks on both Dark and Dynamite. I expected a bit more from this match. I will be straight up. I expected more. Now, Shida is awesome. Like, Shida is such a good wrestler. When in terms of female wrestling on AEW, Shida was the first one that really stood out to me. I mean, we had Rio, who was the champ. She was a female champ at the start, and she was good. But then we got to see Shida coming in as well, and it was like night and day, if you ask me. She was just so much better than Riho in AEW, not in general. Now, that said, the only real feedback I've got about Shida is that she's not super consistent at having good matches with everyone at the moment. Now, I don't know how long Shida's been wrestling. I don't know if she's like in her first 5 years or if she's in her first 10 years. I don't know that. But I do notice that sometimes she's not consistent. Like, if she's in against someone who's great, she can have an outstanding match. But if she's in with someone who's not so great, such as, like, not to put people down, but like someone like Big Swole who's not that great, it wasn't that nice a match. Now, with this one with Abaddon, we were in the not that nice a match territory, unfortunately. Abaddon, now again, much like Shida, I don't know what her history is. I don't know how long she has been wrestling. I don't know if she's green. I don't know if she's just clunky. Her style to me, now, Abaddon's look is one of the best looks I've seen in wrestling in years. It's like, I hate zombies and all that sort of crap, but her look is just amazing. It's genuinely terrifying. Now, her work, on the other hand, her wrestling is not that good. Sometimes it can look alright, other times it can look overly clunky and just doesn't seem to work. And in this situation, it didn't seem too nice. It just seemed a bit clunky. And of course, like I said with Shida, if she's not in with someone who's really that good, it can lead to matches being quite stinky. Now, this wasn't a total stinky match. It wasn't a bad match by any stretch. I wouldn't say technically it was bad. It was entertaining. I watched it. I didn't look at my phone. I didn't change the channel. But it's not a match I would be watching again. I wouldn't be telling people to go and watch this match. I think the main thing that turned me off the match was the Abaddon biting bits. I just thought they were stupid. Like, why would the referee let a wrestler bite another wrestler in a match to such an extent where there's blood coming out of their neck? They wouldn't do that. That's just fucking stupid, if you ask me. That doesn't make sense. That match should be stopped. You're not allowed to bite. This was not a no disqualification match. This was not a no rules match. This was just a standard wrestling match. You're not allowed biting in a standard wrestling match. Come on, bro. Use a head. It's simple. And that turns me off the matches a bit. Little things. It's like I said, if you want people to be sucked into a wrestling match and them to stay sucked into a wrestling match, it's got to be enticing. You've got to be dragged into it. Your mind has got to be tricked, or your mind's got to be told that, look, this is good enough for you to pretend it's real. Suspend reality. go with the flow, enjoy it. And that sort of stuff takes me out of the match, because it just makes me think like the bad parts of Bray Wyatt matches, like maggots being shined on a ring, or Moxley. But what was it he did with Moxley again? It was a video recorder that randomly exploded in his hand. It was just stupid. But when I see the bite, and they did a spot in this match where Abaddon dragged Shida under the ring, so again she could bite her. This is just stupid. The referee followed them under the ring. Why? Why was the referee not counting? There was a lot of things in this match that I didn't really like. It was an alright match. Technically it was alright. But yeah. And it suffered with the sad curse that I would say of AEW, which is that some matches are just too long. And I would say that if there's one thing Tony Khan needs to change going forward, it's that he needs to have shorter, not all matches. There's a time and a place for a 10-minute, 15-minute, 20-minute match, just like there is a place for a squash match or a 5-minute match. Now, there's been some matches on AEW that should have been squashes. There should have been like a 2-minute squash. I don't know if they've even done that yet. I don't know if Tony Khan wants to do squash matches. I don't know if he maybe thinks that they're detrimental to someone or detrimental to a character. That's up to him. That's his booking decision. I would say that they need to have squash matches, and I think it would help them a great deal. A great example is Nyla Rose. Like, most of Nyla Rose's matches should have been no more than 3 minutes, and she should have just beat the crap out of people and went. Her wrestling 15-minute matches it highlights things they can't do. And this was a trick Paul Heyman used when booking ECW. He would highlight what people are good at and hide what people are bad at. Now, you hide what people are bad at by putting them in matches that are as short as possible. And I feel like people like Abaddon, Wardlow, big people like Nyla Rose, like big sort of like bruisers, scary people who are still kind of green or clunky, give them shorter matches. Get them in, make a point, beat someone up, get them out. And you'll do a lot more for their character doing that than you will by having them in big long matches that end up being boring or show a clunkiness, or it just highlights things that they shouldn't be doing. Following this, we got a promo for next week. It was Taya Conti and number 99. So next week, Taya Conti is going to be facing Serena Deeb for the NWA title. This match could go either way. Serena Deeb is a bloody awesome wrestler. She's got shitloads of experience, shitloads of talent. She could carry this to a good match. That said, now Ty Conti, bless her soul, she's been in wrestling. I think she's been wrestling 4 years. She was in the Performance Center for years, would you believe? Which is apparently one of the best wrestling schools on the planet. But they couldn't make someone who's got a background in judo and jiu-jitsu like legit look good, which I don't understand how they couldn't do that. It could just be, maybe she's just not that good. It happens. Some people are just not made to wrestle. That said, this match could be good. This is one of the Taya Conti matches. Is exactly what I was saying before. She's a wrestler who has some really good elements to her, but at the moment she's still really, really green, and she makes mistakes. Put her in short matches, or put her in tag matches where she's only in a little bit. Like last week, it was a tag match. It was the perfect sort of situation for her to learn and to be in a match and not look bad, which is the name of the game, isn't it? So yeah, next week, this match for the NWA Women's title, it could be good, it could not be good. I'm not going to say it's going to be a stinker, because you never know until something happens. And as we've seen last week on the tribute show, she can do good at times. So I'm going to withhold any predictions for this, and we're going to see how it goes. And finally, we got to the main event. this week's main event. Now, this was the best AEW main event that has happened yet in the entirety of AEW's history. There is I have not seen a match on AEW TV which has been near this good. It was just freaking awesome. Phoenix is hard. Like, he is so good. Like, Kenny Omega is one of the best wrestlers in the world, but by hell, Phoenix is close behind. Like, and he's just getting better and better and better at the moment. Outstanding. So much things happened in this match that, like I was saying, there's no point going over it. It was just so good. I think my favourite spots in this match were, let's get the images. See, like, there's the under the ring things I was talking about. Not a fan. Abaddon's actually got an amazing look. I think her look is just amazing. It's not pleasing to the eye. It is just freaking. I mean, look at that face. What's even funnier is if you see a picture of her without her makeup, you would not know that it was her. So yeah, here we go. Ray Phoenix came out. Oh, I must have ended there. I thought I had an image of Kenny Omega getting his head folded from the move I was going to talk about. My favourite spot of the match was, how did they do it? Let's see if I can remember this spot. Ray Phoenix was in the corner. No, sorry, it started with Kenny in the corner, face to the corner. Phoenix came in. Kenny hit him with a back elbow. Something happened. Phoenix swapped places. Ended up jumping over him, jumping onto the turnbuckle. He done a moonsault behind to land on his feet behind Kenny. As soon as he touched the ground, he grabbed Kenny and gave him a German suplex. It was like a moonsault into a German suplex. Kenny's neck looked like it was bent about 10 different places. It looked very, very, very scary. Like, jeez. Then following that, Kenny gets put to the outside, and Ray Phoenix gives him one of the most savage double stomps to the back of the head I've ever seen. To the point where it looked like the referee was checking Kenny, and she wasn't too sure if he was actually knocked out or not. And you actually, like, I've never seen this much in matches, but you'll notice this in matches. You'll see someone lying, and their hand will be out, and you'll see a ref will come in. They'll just like grab them in their hand, and they'll check. What they're doing is they're looking. The ref will grab a finger, and if someone's knocked out, they won't grab back, and it's like, oh shit, they're out. If someone just go like that, you can't see it. It's like really, really subtle, and that's just how they check if they're okay. Ray Phoenix did this to Kenny Omega after that match. It's like the referee was checking Kenny, and Phoenix clearly was like, jeez, I need to check this, and he checked Kenny. Now, if Phoenix, like, a few years back, I was in a seminar. I'm not going to say who was hosting the seminar because it was a private seminar, but in that seminar we got told a story about how Sabu sells. Sabu had this, like, Sabu's one of my favourite wrestlers of all time, ever. Period. End of discussion, right? But what Sabu would do when he's selling is he would constantly put his hand up here and go like that. Now, for people that watch wrestling and people that know how the wrestling works and that, when wrestlers get blood, they normally get it with a little razor and they'll nick their forehead a little bit along there. Little horizontal bit. Little nick, blood. Oh my god! Crimson Mask! What Sabu used to do, because obviously Sabu is known for bleeding in most matches. He's known for being in blood and guts matches and the stuff like that. So, as part of his normal sell, Sabu would always put his hand up here and do that. He would always make it look like he is getting bladed. He's blading himself. And he would always do that so people couldn't tell when it was happening. And it was so cool. Like, it's such a subtle thing to do because it's playing on people like me. It's playing on the people that know what they're looking for, people that think they know the work. And I don't know, I say this because I don't know if Ray Phoenix doing that and checking Kenny Omega's hands, I don't know if that's just Ray Phoenix being next level good at selling and just presenting how wrestling is, or if he was genuinely checking to see if Kenny Omega was knocked out. Regardless, it was a little thing I picked up on, and it was just really interesting. I thought it was a really good match. Like, the end of the match was just great. Phoenix just went, and Kenny just had to end up totally killing him. The usual V-trigger, one-winged angel, boom, 1, 2, 3, done. No one has kicked out of the one-winged angel yet, and no one's going to. I can't see anyone doing it. Maybe Moxley will in the future, who knows, but it's a well-protected finisher, and it works. So the post-match it's one of the best. Again, not only was it one of the best main events in AEW history, but it was one of the best post-main event segments in all of wrestling history. This was brilliant. This was like Hulk Hogan joining the NWA. Brilliant. If we were not in the COVID-19 era and there was more fans there, well, I think it's going to go down as one of the most historic moments ever in modern wrestling within this time period, the contemporary period within, say, the 2010s. It was just brilliant. In short, it was the reunion of most of the Bullet Club on AEW TV. But let's break it down. I'm actually quite annoyed that I didn't have that picture there, because there was an awesome picture of Rey Fenix, because his selling at the end of this match was, you wanted to cry for him. Like, the emotion he was putting out through his face was stunning. So at the end of the match, obviously Phoenix is in the corner and he's beaten down, he's broken, he's in tears, he's really beaten up. And Don Callis and Omega are just about to do more, and they're like, oh, look, let's look here, there's something going on backstage, let's have a look. And then we see a quick video of the Butcher and the Blade and Eddie Kingston and the Bunny beating up Penta and Pac. Death Triangle's getting a licking, you know. Phoenix's reaction to this, you would have thought he looked like he was genuinely crying. He looked distraught. And I've never seen a wrestler sell emotion like that whilst wearing a freaking mask. Like, if you've not seen it, go and watch it. He genuinely looked like he was going to cry. He looked like an absolute broken man because he was like watching on the big screen. There was a picture of his brother and his friend Pac getting the shit kicked out of them, all while he was in the corner. He just had the shit kicked out of him by Kenny Omega. He had the one-winged angel. He couldn't move. He's too broken. And he just did his selling in his face. Which, again, he's a masked wrestler. He wears a mask. I've never, blew my mind. So they were a way to start beating up on Rey Fenix, but Moxley runs in with a barbed wire baseball bat to make the save. Whacks Kenny Omega in the guts with it. Gets another hit on him. So Moxley's starting to beat down. He's starting to have fun. He's like, yeah, he's got the baseball bat. He's beating up Kenny. And then over the barrier, from the outside of the building, we get the Good Brothers. The Bullet Club are back. The Good Brothers jump the barricade. They are obviously they're currently the Impact Tag Team Champions. They storm the ring. They start beating up Moxley. Now, I don't know what happened to Phoenix. He managed to get away. Good on him. Moxley starts getting a kick in by the Good Brothers, Gallows and Anderson. Loads of the wrestlers at ringside, the wrestlers you'd see in Dark, they all started jumping in, trying to make the save. They were getting just the shit. Everyone was getting destroyed by Kenny and the Good Brothers. At one point, Gallows was outside powerbombing El Fuego through a table. It's like, Jesus, man, what's happening here? This is awesome. It was just really, really cool. The beatdown just went on and on and on. Moxley was just getting the shit beaten out of him. They were a way to, maybe, I don't know if they were going to hit his head on the AEW title or whatever, but they had Moxley on the ground, pinned down. They had the belt on his head. They were ready to hit him with the bat. Then the Bucks ran out. The Young Bucks ran out to, not to save Moxley, but just to stop people that were pointing at the bat, pushing people back, oh, what the fuck you doing, man? They're like, why are you hitting him with a baseball bat? What are you doing that? But And they were like, obviously, this is their friend, this is their crew. You know what I mean? The Good Brothers and Kenny Omega, that's all the Young Bucks crew. This is the Bullet Club, like the proper Bullet Club. And the Young Bucks, and it looks all in disarray. The Young Bucks look really annoyed. They're like being angry at people, like, what the hell are you doing? And then Kenny Omega is like, yeah, he kind of backs off a little bit. And as he backs off outside of the ring, Griff Garrison and Pillman Jr. are outside the ring, and they grab Kenny by, like, from outside the ring and grab hold of him as if to, like, keep him from moving. And at this point, Gallows and Matt Jackson make the save. Matt Jackson super kicks him. Gallows hits them on the other side. Everyone just looks around, they're like, Kenny's just like, wait, you're on my side, you're on my side. And you can see the Bucks like, yeah, well, yeah, you're our dude. And then everything starts becoming friendly in the ring. And Kenny puts it up. He puts the signal up. Gallows and Anderson, they join him. Nick joins him. Then Matt joins him. And the show ended with the reformation of most of the Bullet Club, basically. You had the Impact, TNA/Impact Tag Team Champions, AEW Tag Team Champions, AEW World Heavyweight Champion, all in the ring together as one crew. Obviously Don Callis as well. And that is how the show went off the air. Stunning. Like, absolutely stunning. It was a fucking great show. I mean, we're about a year, just over a year into AEW's run on TNT. And they really are getting better and better. The COVID era, right? The COVID era could have just could have destroyed AEW. And they are so lucky that it didn't. Instead of letting this period hold them down, they've just used it to seemingly build better and better and better. This main event was just awesome. Where they're going to go with this, who the freaking hell knows? I've got no idea. Like, who's Kenny feuding with in AEW? I mean, obviously the main target is Moxley. Because he's got the title shot in line. But where does this, like, the fact that I cannot think where this could go is the thing. That is the thing I want most in wrestling, right? Now, as I said before, it's good to have a hunch where a story's going, or you're like, yeah, I think the story's going to go that way. But there's a certain excitement to when you don't know what's happening, and when you know that anything could happen. And we are getting to that point, but it's hard to like predict where it's going to go. Where it's going to, I mean, is it going to go to Japan? Is it going to go back to Impact? Are they going to go there to AAA? Are they going to get another promotion involved? We don't know yet. It's just really, really cool. I mean, one little fact I want to bring up before we wind up the review. Did anyone who watched notice how many times Kota Ibushi's name was mentioned on the show? I'm sure there was about 3 different mentions of Kota Ibushi on this show. Why? Why did they do that? I think it was yesterday or the day before. There's a Don Callis interview going around, and in that interview he's saying if Kota Ibushi wants to make his name properly, he needs to start traveling the world and fighting people in America. Is this, or I mean, it makes me wonder if they are trying to plant a seed for Kota Ibushi coming over and some sort of Kota feud happening, or whether Kota. My mind is blowing up here. There's so many different opportunities and so many different ways it could go that it's really, really exciting. So yeah, I don't know if I should I give a, this is the first episode, should I give a star rating to the show? Like a Meltzer star rating? I mean, or let's just give it a score. I'm going to say this week's show was a 4.2 out of 5. Where did it lose points? It lost points with the Wardlow match being just slightly too long, the Abaddon and Shida match. That's the only places where I could think it lost points this week. Everything else was just brilliant. Absolutely good. No problems, no complaints, no nothing. And next week's show should be good as well. So it looks like we've got some good stuff built up for next week. Now, In the Saturday Wrestling AEW review show, I will also talk about the ratings as well. Now, this week's rating review is going to be really quickly because there's really not that much news when it comes to the ratings for AEW this week. AEW, and in fact, every entertainment show on American TV got totally buried by news because, unfortunately for AEW, Donald Trump launched a coup against the United States on Wednesday. And that kind of took precedent, as you would expect. A coup against America gets way more people watching than wrestling. This is a sad fact of reality. The fall of the free world gets viewers. We can't stop that. So looking at the actual ratings numbers here, but AEW was actually not in the top 50, they weren't in the top 30. They were that low that they weren't even on the proper graph that shows you the breakdown this week. Let me have a quick check on my Twitter. Now, I posted the results for anyone that wants to keep up with the ratings when they come out. Either follow Brian Alvarez from Wrestling Observer, because he posts them as soon as they come out. He always posts them. Or just follow our Twitter, because we post them as soon as they come out as well. Let's have a look. Let's have a look down the timeline. When I say we post it, I post it on the Voice Britannia Twitter, not my personal. I will post it on my personal as well, but I do like an official sort of post on the Voice Britannia one. Going forward, once I get this done, I want to start doing written reports for the ratings, but all in good time. So yeah, looking at the chart, AEW was the 48th show. They had a grand total of 662,000 viewers, which is massively down from normal. I mean, we've got to remember, last week, the ratings for last week's show, it was a tribute show and stuff, so it's not really good to watch, but they were just under 1 million. The week before that, I think they were at 800,000 or 900,000, so for AEW to be down at 662 is really quite bad for AEW ratings. That said, there's no way they could have avoided this. The ratings being so low has nothing to do with the show, because the show was absolutely brilliant. It's just that there was a coup happening live on TV. And that's really it. NXT's rating, for anyone that wants to know the NXT rating in comparison to AEW's ratings, obviously the shows are on at the same time. And WWE NXT got 641,000 with a .16 in the 1845 demo, which is obviously the important bit that makes them the money. So yeah, that's really it. Ratings wise, it was a dead duck of a week. No one was doing good in the ratings unless you were a news show. But when we talk about the wrestling, bloody hell, it was a good show. And I hope we get more shows like this. I wish all wrestling was this good. I would watch all wrestling if it was this good. I'd probably never talk about politics if wrestling was always this good. Thankfully, we have at least one company which makes wrestling this good on a regular basis. So that is me for now. This has went way longer than I thought it would be, but it is the first one, so there was always going to be that. It could have always went longer than I thought. It could always go shorter. It went longer. So I'll be back on the Voice Britannia channel on Monday. It is the show I call Potpourri, because I don't know what I'm going to talk about. We could talk about anything at all. And if you want me to talk about anything on the show, get in touch, send me a message, and we'll talk about it. But for me, that's me done. I am going to go and enjoy my Saturday. I was going to call Wednesday. I'm going to go and enjoy my Saturday. I hope you all enjoy your Saturday, whatever you're doing. I mean, obviously we're in the middle of a pandemic. Everyone's locked down, so please stay safe.